So, if you click this video, you're probably thinking about starting a freelancing career, or you already have one and probably you think about starting it in Italy. Or maybe you just live in Italy and know English, so that's why you're here and thinking about starting it. For the past 6 years, I've been a freelancer in Italy myself, so spoiler alert, I'll be telling you why I will never recommend anyone being a freelancer in Italy. I myself studied computer science in university, and after graduating, I just decided to give it a shot, in Web3, blockchain, and all that IT area. And lots of things is just like no one's talking about them, so I couldn't find any info, someone sharing their experience. So I just decided maybe I'll do it myself so I can help someone before actually making this choice. So let's start with the most boring reason out of them all, and trust me, it's not the worst one. We all know that taxes in Italy are high. And you're going to be told, if you want to do it, to start with a special tax regime called Forfettario. And you're also going to be told a very catchy number, 5% tax for the first 5 years. And after it will be 15. But this is just a small portion of what you're going to be paying. You are going to be pay also INPS and other stuff, and you are also going to be paid not for just the last year based on your income, but you're gonna be paying for the last year and for the current year, even if in the current year you didn't make any money at all, because the Italian state assumes that, for example, if the last year you made X, then the current year you will be making also X, okay? So that's just the brutal reality. So at the end, if you make the calcula, it turns out you're paying at least 43%, practically speaking, and even more. And this is the easiest way of having a partita IVA, a VAT number, and doing something on Italian territory. Also, another limitation is the income limit of 85k. So, I mean, this is just a personal approach to it. If you are an ambitious person, if you know you are not just enjoying the dolce vita, which isn't that much dolce vita anymore lately, and you are ambitious, then you probably don't want to mess with this. And now we are going into the reason number 2, which is even worse. As I said, the limit for the income is 85k, and that's a good problem to have, to actually achieve that limit. But once you do it, and I actually did, for example, in my case, yes, I've been maxing out a bit the freelancing thing here. Actually, the limit is 90k euro a year. It's just the remaining 5k you could register them as prestazioni occasionali, as something occasional, some occasional service you provide to someone, and you can actually make 90k. The problem with that is that it's done on purpose, so by the Italian government, basically, in my opinion, to just keep you forever as a small fish. Because what happens when you are there? If you hit the limits, you have probably 2 options. If you still want to maintain your freedom and stuff, or to not work for a company. So you can become a freelancer in normal mode. The problem with that, and have unlimited income, the problem with that you are going to be paying much harsher taxes. And I still keep mentioning taxes. In my opinion, if you're in a country and taxes are high, that could probably be a good deal. For example, in Switzerland, you pay taxes, of course, but you get something substantial in return. In my opinion, in Italy, for what you pay, it's not really worth it. So, but that's for you to judge. I mean, that's a personal opinion. I mean, the bella vita italiana, dolce vita, sweet life, brioche in the mornings, it's not really worth it, like giving basically all you have. So the reason it doesn't work, the normal regime, is that the more, like on the first 20k or 20 something k, you pay just, I don't remember the amount, but you just pay 23% taxes instead of those 5 you remember. And afterwards you pay half. So let's say you're making more than 100k. For a last chunk of money you're making, you're gonna be paying half. And then you still add, all the pension stuff. So it's an absurd quantity of taxes. But let's talk about the alternative, what you can do if you still want to be to maintain your freedom, to be a freelancer. If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you can open, as in other countries, an LLC, an SRL, Società Responsabilità Limitata. The problem with that is again taxes, because from the moment you receive some money, okay, and to the moment you get something actually in your pocket, you already lost 70+% of what you got. Like 70+% of what you got is gone forever. You don't see it. So we are not going to go into how businesses work here in Italy, but essentially, and you also have to pay like 20k to open such an LLC. And this is definitely much more than one person could allow themselves just to experiment to experiment with the business, with a startup. Like, who's gonna throw out of the pocket 20k and basically give all the income, like not even seeing it? And some tax advisor will say to you that but we can financially optimize for stuff, so you are not going to be paying 70%, but much less. But the problem with that, and they themselves will admit later, is that for example, you are going to be required to walk around with stuff like buoni pasto. So for example, you go to eat somewhere with your friends or maybe with your girlfriend, and instead of paying normally with money, like you should keep in your pocket like this paper or these applications that not even all restaurants accept them. This is just ridiculous in my opinion. So yeah, we are not gonna go into how in detail here, but this is one big reason I will never do it here. And opening an LLC somewhere like in United States, somewhere in Latin America, is much cheaper, is less than 1k. If you have a good residency, you can go elsewhere, that's for certain. And if you're still here, if you're still not convinced, there are a few more reasons to not make it, in my opinion. So if you're not that ambitious, maybe it's your choice. Maybe you just like the country and you'll be making like 30k or 50k a year. You're still gonna stumble into huge issues. One, for example, is that in Italy there is a very low velocity of money. What I mean by that is that For example, if you're a programmer or a designer or something else in UK, in the United States, somewhere else, maybe in France, you will probably be paid once a month, sometimes even once every 2 weeks, okay? Because people pay fast. Those are competitive areas. Like whoever is your client, the client wants to maybe keep you around more, you know. But in Italy, it's just a parallel world. But in any kind of activity, they just pay themselves like months later after you sent an invoice. So if you really like need some money because you worked and you just must have that income a bit faster, like forget about receiving it soon. You are gonna be paid in the best case scenario in like 30 days. That's the best case scenario. And if that's a problem for you, you've been warned. And sometimes it could even be more. Again, you shouldn't be taking it personally. It's not that they don't pay you, it's just that guy that must give you money is also not being paid by someone else, and so on and so forth. And this is just how their system works. And there is nothing you can change. So I'll spare myself a few years of because one more important thing is that when you don't receive money from people like that, what you are going to be end up doing is spending more time claiming them, because if you don't claim them, but I forgot, you know. So, and that takes money, takes time. Actually, the most precious thing is time. That's the most precious thing. You're gonna be spending time claiming money that they owe you anyway. And that's the biggest problem, in my opinion. Is like, instead of focusing on your free time, on recovering, on making even more work and stuff, you have to spend hours going around and reminding people that they should actually, you know, and you should be being gentle about that, like not blunt. So if you don't want any of that, and trust me, you don't, then probably you should go somewhere else. Now, the next reason is that, remember I mentioned velocity of money. Well, velocity of money being low, it also means that you're not just going to be paid less often, but also less. And I remind you that this is not something personal against you. It's just if you are going to be asking prices that are normal abroad, in Italy this is just not normal, this is just too big. Because probably for most freelancing use cases, you are overqualified. People that just don't need the same amount and the same qualifications from you here in Italy. And the literacy, digitally speaking, is a bit lower, meaning that like Italians just don't need some more advanced stuff, for example in tech, in design. I've been, for example, I've worked in Milan with some accelerators in Rome, so like the top of the top in Italy, okay? And that's the only places basically where there is some resemblance on how it should be, on how it's like outside Italy. But still, you're still going to be paid like not that much. So another quite important factor is quote building. The problem is that in Italy, talking about money is quite a taboo. For example, earlier in the video I mentioned that what's the upper limit of your income, the fact that they reached it, and stuff like that. But Italians don't usually mention such things. They don't talk about prices, and like you can see it for yourself. Go to any English speaking, mainly English website, and you'll always see the section pricing or something like that. This is not true for Italian services, even though they are maybe online. They always like ask you to contact them, and maybe you'll talk about prices, and but only at the end probably. And that's also a bit, it can be sometimes shady, because they might make different prices for different customers. But why the reason this is important is that in order for you to price your services and to make the right quotes, it's important to understand the market around you. In Italy, it's very difficult to understand the market around you, precisely because of this, how to call it, involuntary censorship on the argument. And you will find quite difficult to price yourself in. I've heard about shady tactics, like, for example, competitors calling someone's business and like faking that there are customers just to know someone else's prices, this kind of dynamics that you don't hear about abroad. The situation gets better if your customers are not in Italy, if you work with outside clients. But remember, even though you come in Italy with the Nomad visa, which might grant you like a year of residency here, always remember this is just a funnel to include you in the system I described you for the entire video. So it's up to you. Lots of things can be said, of course. We can digress much more on everything. I just want to keep this video shorter. But at the end, what I would advise anyone is just, if you can, if you really like the country, it has like really many cool places. I will just return here a few times a year, maybe for a few weeks, a month, two, or something like that. But just be aware that Italy is like, financially speaking, is very extremely unfriendly, and is literally hostile to entrepreneurship. And it's not just me saying that; it's even many Italians that go abroad. And literally, Italy is very hostile to something new. And yeah, I hope this video finds you well and you found it useful. Make your own conclusions, and see you next time.